Hi, welcome to the first episode. My name is Hashim. I am a professional in the Malaysian tech industry. I've always wanted to make a podcast, and here I am today. Right? So the podcast aims to give you a bit like a slice of life, and also a pint full of perspective. We'll be talking about career. We'll be talking about life in general, entertainment, arts, politics, you name it, right? And today I'm very happy to be joined by my lifelong friend, Mr. Imran Khan. And Imran is a professional in the oil and gas industry. He also has worked in the VFX industry, I believe. And he's into like lots of stuff, gaming and also like online communities where, discuss about like men's right or whatsoever. Yeah, Imran, nice to have you here.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Finally, a dream came true. Huh?
Dream came true, right? You've been dreaming about starting a podcast with me?
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah. And I think we've always been into like podcasts, watching Joe Rogan's and stuff. And we're here today at KL Podcast Studio. And we are like lifelong friends from Melawati. Do you remember how we met?
How did we meet? That's a good question. Right?
Yeah, I can't really remember.
I remember first meeting you when we were 12, standard 6. It was in our Melawati school. It was, I think we were talking about video games. We were bonding about video games. I think a fellow friend of mine, Benjamin, remember Benjamin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he introduced me to you.
Ah, okay.
I remember talking to him about another friend I have, Aizat. I went to his home. He has a full a shelf of PS2 games.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to my friend Benjamin at the time.
Yeah.
And then Benjamin one-upped me. He's like, oh, I know this friend. His name is Hashim.
Yeah.
He has a full room of games. He has even more than your friend Aizat. I'm like, who is this Hashim guy? I need to meet him.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. And I think he introduced me to you.
I
we
remember
bonded.
I remember Benjamin. I mean, he was my classmate and I know that he was friends with you, but I couldn't really remember like how did we meet. So that was something that, I'm glad that you remembered that, right? And do you remember what game that?
I don't remember. I don't remember how we physically met.
Okay.
But that's how I was introduced to you.
Yeah.
What game we bonded on?
Yeah, right,
What
yeah.
game was it? I don't know.
So it
I
was back
remember.
in 2002. So we had like a PlayStation. Was that? Oh, PlayStation 2.
It was 2004.
Huh?
It was 2004.
No way.
2004.
Really?
2002?
I can't remember. Was it 2002?
3 or 2, I think. I think it was 2003. 3
Yeah.
or 4, yeah, around that time.
Yeah, but I remember like I was really into gaming at the time, and that was 2004. What was I playing in 2004? Probably like FIFA and stuff, but GTA probably. Yeah, what were you into at that time?
I think we bonded over Star Wars, I think.
Oh yes,
We're talking about Star Wars, Clone Wars and all this stuff. And maybe even Spider-Man as well.
yeah, Spider-Man. I remember watching Spider-Man back in 2004. That changed my life. It's
Yeah.
still one of my favorite movies ever. Spider-Man 2, by the way,
Alfred Molina, bro.
who looked like our tuition teacher, right?
Yes.
So speaking of like childhood and Taman Melawati, like how would you describe like your childhood at the time?
I think I had a great childhood. Melawati was a bit of an up and down. Like school for me was an up and down thing.
Yeah,
Now, my high school was the worst time of my life, by the way. But primary school was pretty good. It
Yeah.
was fun. You were just don't just go to school, meet your friends,
yeah,
go back home and play games and talk about stuff and
yeah.
and maybe like gossip and shit. guys gossip too, by the way. We just don't do it that often, but we do.
Yeah. But what was it about high school that you hated? Yeah, for me, like I'm quite indifferent to it in a sense that I kind of enjoyed high school. I met a lot of great people there. Some of them are still like within my circle today. But the thing that maybe I didn't like about high school is when you're like a teenager and you have like you're growing up with these hormones and stuff, and you kind of feel out of place, right?
Yeah.
Especially with peer pressure, maybe like academic pressure. For example, I mean, we're Asians, right? So there's always this pressure about getting A's, getting how many A's, and then thinking about your future. But it's quite tough for me. Also, like probably like low self-esteem. I felt inferior in a way. I felt ugly. I felt stupid. I wish I didn't have that feeling. And now I'm, as a grown up, I'm more confident about myself. So that was my experience. What about you?
I think it's similar in a sense. We all have that inferiority feeling, right? Because
Yeah.
we keep getting compared. Our results keep getting compared to other kids,
Yeah.
other relatives, especially in my Pakistani family.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear more about that.
The Desi family.
Yeah.
You just like keep comparing it to your cousins, your relatives. even if they're like grown ass men at the time, they're like, oh look, when he was younger, he was like getting straight A's,
Yeah.
the captain of the school team, captain of the monitor team, and all this. He's a fucking cheerleader, even though he's a guy. I don't know how that happened,
Yeah.
but so yeah. Similar that we felt inferior. We were in our awkward phase.
Yeah, we were in our. I think that's why we bonded, especially between us and also like a group of friends that we have. I mean, not to mention any name right now. Yeah, and we're basically a bunch of geeks, right?
Yeah.
And we bonded over like Star Wars and video game and stuff. What about high school that you missed the most?
I think hanging out with our close friends,
Yeah.
not having to worry about the world.
Yeah.
Just meeting up with friends, just talking some random shit that we always do. By the way, for context, in school we were the typical nerd guys who hang out amongst each other, talk about like video games and nerdy stuff and Star Wars. And we were those kids.
Yeah.
We were that kind of kids. Yeah.
We didn't have any girls then, right?
We didn't. We had a few crushes, but we didn't really
Unreciprocated. Crushes.
We're gonna drop some names soon.
Still having unreciprocated crushes today also, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
So life hasn't changed much since high school, but we've grown up, to be honest. I remember that I was into, what was I into? Like, I played ping pong in high school. I played ping pong. I joined the ping pong club, but I was like their committee member. I wasn't talented enough to get into like, at a school level, becoming a school representative, whatever. Were you active in some sports?
I think I was a cadet. At
Okay.
one point, yeah, I was part of the PKBM, Persatuan Cadet Bersatu Malaysia.
Yeah.
It was either that or the KRS,
KRS.
Cadet Remaja or something. I remember.
KRS is like a rapper though, KRS1.
I know. Like these two groups hate each other's guts,
Yeah.
right? And I chose the PKBM because they have more assholes in the group.
Yeah.
So I'm naturally part of them, and it was a fun time. But it was really it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
But that actually made me feel a bit more isolated as well.
Okay, why was that?
Because the experience was very tough and very masculine kind of manhood kind of thing, and you have to, because it always happens. The practice, the marching practice, the kawat and all that thing, it always happens during times where you have breaks to meet other people. So they pull you away, put you to a side, and then you have to like practice and practice and practice.
Wait, was this during like normal school hours?
Normal school hours, yeah. So I've missed quite a few classes as well because of the co-curricular activities.
Really?
And that happens in our school, I think, usually. Because of mismanagement or something.
Yeah.
Usually it happens during classes.
I see.
So that's why you need like special permissions to skip class.
I see, yeah. I had that too. I was part of, I can't remember the name of that particular committee, but basically I was in charge of, like handing out books to students, right? Because I think at one point, like we didn't have to buy books.
Oh yeah.
Right? We were just lending books, right? I can't remember for the life of me, like what is the name of that particular like organization or committee, whatever. But I was part of it, and with some of our good friends, and we were like a bunch of cronies. And
You guys became kingpins.
yeah, we became
You abused the
kingpins.
power.
Yeah, we totally abused the power. So we had like permission to chill at the place where they were storing the books, right? We used that as an excuse to just skip classes. And we're just like handing out books to people who lost their books. And I think some of us, not me, some of us took money under the table, right? Try to capitalize on that. That was like a very good business move. But to be honest, at that time, when we were skipping classes, we were in this room. I mean, the storage room, right? And we were just horsing around, right? Just playing music and chilling, and I don't know, probably like beating each other up, like pretend fights or whatever. I think that's the thing that I really miss most about high school, right? It's just the camaraderie between friends and not having that pressure to conform, to think about the future, even though there was that pressure that I mentioned to you. But luckily for me, like I didn't really have much pressure from my parents. For you, you mentioned that it runs in the family, right?
Yeah, so it's a Pakistani Indian kind of thing. It's a constant comparison and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
But also at the time in high school, I was on my meds.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on my antidepressant meds.
Yeah.
Since I was 16.
Really?
Yeah, and so that really screwed me up.
Really?
Like, my emotions were all over the place. It was a mess. I didn't really talk to people that much.
Yeah.
People tried to engage with me, I guess. There were so few. people who like a few girls who showed interest in me, but I just shut all that down
Really?
because I was just in my own mind,
Yeah.
and it took a toll on my studies as well.
Are you open enough to tell us like what was the trigger? Like how did you get into maths?
It's a whole other episode maybe, but
Mm.
it's basically like a years and I would say decades of emotional and physical abuse
Oh, shit.
that led to that.
Yeah, yeah. And during high school, what was the thing that you cling on to kind of escape from, this pain that you were dealing with?
I think you guys,
Oh, okay.
friends, yeah, and also the interest that we were in. The whole. That's why I think we were like, at least for me, I was really into this whole Star Wars gaming shit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like an escape,
yeah,
right? So I thought about it. I lived in those worlds.
yeah,
Just couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't even focus on my studies because I just want to escape.
yeah, yeah. I remember that you were more studious than the people that we hung out with, because I was in that group where I was just skipping not just class but the whole day, like days, practically. I was going to, cyber cafe.
Iban.
Yeah, I was basically escaping school, so I had to wait for my mom to make her U-turn, and then basically, okay, now I know that she's heading home. She won't see me, so from the school entrance, I would cross the road, go to the mosque, the surau, the masjid, with a bunch of guys, obviously. So we would go to the bathroom, change our clothes, right? Change our clothes. We basically then waited at the bus stop for bus T304, T304,
yeah.
right?
Rapid
So,
KL.
so that's the bus to Wangsa Maju LRT station. So we would go there, probably like before going to the cyber cafe, we would have like breakfast whatever, and we would just spend the whole day there playing. What did we play? So we played a bit of it's mostly Dota, right? This is a bit way before Dota 2, right? With Dota, we also played a bit of, I think, Call of Duty. I can't really remember. Maybe Counter Strike or something. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't really interested in school at the time. I think also that basically stemmed from the lack of quality in terms of our education that I was aware at that time, even though I was still like a student, right? But I felt that classes were not engaging, and basically I had no interest, basically, right? In terms of studying whatsoever. And some of the teachers that we had, don't make me talk about them.
Oh, John.
But there were a few good role models. I'm very happy to say that. But yeah, I wasn't interested in school at all. So, a lot of people thought that I was like a straight A student now as an adult. When they meet me as an adult, it's like, oh, Hashim, basically you're probably like a straight A student back then when you were a kid. Like, no, I was just like a C student. I wasn't interested in school, and that also extended when I was in college, university. I wasn't interested in all like the academic stuff, right? But what about you? Like, were you interested in? No, no, also, no, also.
I think for me, I was always a naturally curious person. I like to study things,
Yeah,
but not in school. The things I study in school is just boring for me.
yeah,
It's also like very, very formulaic. You don't study to understand, you study to memorize,
yeah.
to answer in exams.
Then you what do you say? Regurgitate.
Yeah, regurgitate everything.
Regurgitate,
Just drown that shit out. And it's like, it's just a waste of time and education, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I was like you. I was not interested in it. And interesting enough, now this goes a bit to my male advocacy thing.
yeah.
I found out that boys are socialized at a very young age to not be interested in school.
Okay,
Something to do with boys needing to be working in hard labor jobs.
okay.
It has a lot to do with capitalism and all that stuff, because capitalism affects everyone, but it affects men even more. But that's probably for another episode when we get there. But yeah, boys are generally socialized to not like school as much.
Yeah, and for me, I became a bit more different when I was in college, university. Okay, the academic stuff, I was still uninterested in it. But socially, I was opening up to people. I guess when I was in high school, I was in my own bubble, or like in our bubble, right, with friends and whatever. But yeah, in college and university, I was talking to people, trying to be like the class clown at some time. meeting people who are just different than me from not just from my own course, but also in other courses.
Wait, when you say you were a class clown, there's two kinds of class clowns.
Yeah.
Were you the joker or were you the butt end of the joke?
I was the joker,
Okay.
especially in the beginning. But then I was just like, I'm not going to do this kind of shit anymore. It's just like, because I felt the pressure of people knowing who I was at the time, right? Because I was always invisible, in high school, whatever. But then when I went to college, I just tried something different. I just wanted to, be more open. So I tried, making people laugh in front of, the whole class, making the teacher laugh. And you get known for doing that kind of shit, right? And then people start knowing who I am. And I felt that they started to have this expectation of who I should be. And that just scared me. And then I became a bit more reclusive after that, but not to the point that I was shutting off everyone. I was just minding my own business at the time. Yeah. Like, how about you?
I guess so. Yeah, it's you said you were reclusive.
Yeah. In a sense, yes. I was into like my own world, basically. I mean, I was in my own world when I was in high school, but at college, I was also in like another world. But I felt more mature, to be honest. Maybe the stuff that I was into are more, they're more oriented towards like adults. Like maybe in terms of, in terms of career, like I became, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I was really into, Silicon Valley, like understanding tech, because we were growing up in a time of Facebook, of Airbnb. So you hear a lot of success stories, and you see a lot of millennial basically becoming like billionaire. So I felt, okay, this is something cool. Like I want to know more about this kind of stuff. I was also into politics. That was during the Obama era. Yeah. Good times. Now it's like different. Maybe let's not get into there. But I was still in my own world. Yeah.
I guess so. I was kind of in the same boat as you too. Remember, I was in my own world as well.
Yeah.
Just focused on my own self, my own studies, my own health.
Yeah.
And I just completely ignored the outside world.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't even know basic general stuff going on in Malaysia and in the world. And I felt like inadequate at the time.
I remember you had like a long hair and also like a beard. And I teased you about looking like Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yeah. I had my rebellious face.
Yeah.
I still am, but I then had like long hair and like I think some people call me Jesus at one point.
Jesus, huh?
Yeah. Brown Jesus. I mean, Jesus is brown. So.
But you didn't perform any miracles, basically.
Not that I know of.
But you were studying engineering, though. Was it mechanical or electrical engineering?
Electrical and electronic.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, hell, bro. They say that electrical engineering is the hardest engineering to learn.
Yeah.
Even more than, I guess, some of the more esoteric ones like nuclear or petroleum, which I don't agree. But they say it's one of the hardest, and they were right.
Oh.
They were right. And I don't know why I took it. I think because it was the only thing that was offered. Back then, initially, I started studying nanotech engineering, but then my chemistry sucks. And nanotechnology has a lot of chemistry, and I could not do it. So I switched courses. I switched to electrical and electronic. So I did that for my degree, my diploma and my degree. Graduated, and then I worked in that field. But before I get to my career, what about you? What did you study?
I studied accounting and finance, which totally sucked. And the problem with me was that, I told you that I wasn't interested in school. I was interested in college and university, like this academic stuff, right? So I was basically attending school and attending university just for the sake of it, because we are expected to go through, secondary, tertiary education. I mean, that is the Asian way. And to be honest, it's not a bad thing, right? Because how the system works, especially in this country, is if you don't have a degree, you're basically screwed. So I went there with no clear path, to be honest. And I've never wanted to be an accountant, an accountant. Basically, it's something that my parent imposed on me, and I didn't have the backbone, nor do I have the idea on what to do other than, accounting. So I basically just went to college, study accounting, and it was soul crushing in a sense. I wish that I knew what I wanted to do back then. I wish I had that courage. I wish I had a good mentor to basically sit me down and say, hey, like, focus on what you want to do in this world and give me like options also, because I wasn't really I wasn't aware of the industry that we had in Malaysia or the kind of openings that we had. So for me, like I stuck on that accounting path for years, man. It's only later, after I finished my ACCA, which is to become a chartered accountant, that I pivoted to another industry, another career track. But that was purely by chance, by the way. So that's why, like, whenever like I meet like young people these days, I would tell them, try to think, about what you really want to do, and try to learn as much as possible about that industry before you enter, right? And try to reach out to people just to understand, especially insider. Try to understand like how does it work, and basically what kind of path can you carve for yourself. Yeah. So I really didn't enjoy college, university whatsoever. Yeah. But you work in the US, right? For engineering.
So okay, a little bit about my career,
Yeah.
and so I did engineering, and for my internship, I did it in the States, in Texas, Houston, because at the time my parents were living in the States. They lived there for like, I think 4 years, so 2.5 years or so, during the Obama times, the safe times, and so my whole family moved, but I was left here because I was studying here. But during semester breaks, I would visit them every now and then. Just travel alone to the States, live with them in Houston, Texas, right? So it's a great place. So then I decided, you know what? Why don't I try to seek for an internship in the States? Because my dad's working there. And I'm like, guna cable lah. Like, hey dad, can you like maybe help me out with the internship? Maybe let's see if they accept me or not. And he asked around, and they did accept. They're like, okay, sure. But because I did not have a student visa, I did not have a working visa, they cannot pay me. So I just did that. I just went on a student visa.
So it was like an unpaid internship?
Unpaid internship. But it's like a double-edged sword. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because you're not getting paid, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good thing because you do get experience, and also they can't really tell you what to do.
Ah, okay.
They can't really like tell you, hey, do this, do that. I'm like, if I say no, they can't say anything. Like, okay, we're not paying you, so we can't do anything.
So what were you doing there?
Okay, so basically they put me in an R&D lab.
Yeah.
Right? Because I studied electrical, right? So they put me in an electrical R&D lab. And I met this guy. He's like a lab technician. He's a very fantastic guy. John, very good guy. He's like a metal. Think of him like a Dracula in a leather vest.
Yeah.
Listens to metal, all tattooed up.
Yeah.
That's him, right?
Yeah.
And so basically what I did was, it's more of during the internship, I did more of testing. Because I worked in a specific field called wireline. This is my introduction to oil and gas, by the way. My career is in oil and gas engineering. And I started with this internship because I work in an oil and gas company. And we did a thing called wireline. Wireline is like a service where they put like a long metal rod underneath the ground.
Okay.
To detect the number of oil available, and natural gas and shales and stuff.
Yeah.
Roughly speaking. And so I was working on a company that focuses on wireline, and so part of my job was I need to test high degree RFID,
Oh,
high
cool.
temperature RFID that can stand hundreds of Celsius.
Yep.
And I need to put them in the oven, test how effective they are at a certain heat. Make sure the ones that work should work. The ones that did not work, I had to troubleshoot, find out what they went wrong, and I had to learn how to design my own PCB, which is printed circuit board. The flat motherboard thing. Yeah, it's called PCB. So you have to design that, and you have to like basically solder, learn what each chip does, and basically make your own transistor, right? Your own RFID. That was it. I was there for like, I think 2 months. It's a 2-month internship.
Yeah.
It was 4 months. I was there for 4 months. 4 months, yeah. It was February up until May. April, May, yeah, 4 months. So that was it. That was my internship experience. It was a really good experience. It's a very different.
Yeah, I was thinking, if you were in Malaysia at the time, right? Would you have gotten that level of experience? Do you think that it was possible for someone who had no experience in the field to be given a chance to do all those kind of stuff?
I think it'd be difficult.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot more difficult. I think it's possible, but a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But the environment is different there, though.
Yeah.
Different. Over there, there's no blatant racism there.
Okay.
There's like subtle, but it's very subtle that if you mind your own business, you don't really notice.
Yeah.
Like they do exist, but over here, it's like it's open racism here.
Yeah.
Right, and so it's very different. They don't really care what you look like, what your gender is, what your race background. They just like, okay, if you can do it, you do it. Over here, nah, hantar resume, oh muka kau macam mana, oh kau dah kahwin ke belum, apa agama kau, like who gives a shit,
Yeah.
right?
Cool down.
Panas lah kan.
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends who work or had like work experience in other countries, especially in the Western Hemisphere. They keep telling me that what was different there is in terms of the level of like mentorship that you receive. People there are more willing to help out.
Yeah.
To basically upskill you.
Yep.
And to give you a clear path, for your career, right? But here is, I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but we don't really have that culture of trying to build a talent, right? Basically, maybe having like a raw talent, trying to build them up by giving proper mentorship, by pushing them to basically do projects that are more complicated and guiding them through the process. Here is mostly like you do the job. I mean, from my experience, you do the job. If you don't work out, then we're going to punish you whatsoever. Do you feel the same?
Okay, so in my experience in Malaysia, I did not go through that.
Okay.
But I did experience. I do know what you mean by kedekut ilmu kind of thing. Like they don't really mentorship here is like different. It's like you have to prove your worth to me as a student, then I'll teach you kind of thing. Yeah, very Asian thing. Like back in the States, it's like again, I'm not trying to blow smoke up America's ass. I have issues with them. I have a lot of issues with them. But my personal experience working there, right, for a bit, they really are just open of teaching you and just guiding you, and just training you. And like, I spoke to a few people. I remember one guy. I think his name was Dragoon or something.
Dragoon
or something. No. Yeah, Dragoon or something like that.
Okay.
They call him Dragon. His father is a boxing champion. He drives a bulletproof Mercedes Benz, right? His father. And he was one of the guys that were training with us. And the training that I did, completely left field. I was supposed to do R&D. And then one day I'm like, you know what? I told my boss was a British guy, Moody, his name.
Moody,
yeah.
Okay.
James something Moody.
All right.
I'm like, hey, can I like try something new, something different? He's like, okay, go ahead. Go to this guy and meet him, see what's up. So we learned more about oil rig maintenance.
Yeah.
The clamps and everything, how to open up the shaft and everything.
Yeah.
Just like a one-day training. And I met this guy, and this guy was really cool. He really like taught me everything he needs to know, everything I needed to know. He was just like sitting back, chilling, eating like what do you call Whataburger.
What's that?
Whataburger is one of their fast food chains.
Okay.
You have Sonic, Taco Bell. Taco Bell came to Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
You have Church Chicken, which came to Malaysia.
Texas chicken.
Changed to Texas because of Islamic nonsense. But then you have Whataburger, you have In-N-Out, you have Wings and Things, you have Sonic, you have Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Five Guys came to Malaysia as well.
Yeah, Shake Shack also.
And so Whataburger is one of them. And you were all just chilling, eating Whataburger, just talking about work and life. And I learned more that way than I did learning like the hard way, or like the learning more like in terms of me and you sitting in a room.
Yeah.
You just vomiting all this shit to me. I don't know, it just felt more effective that way. It felt more homely, more comfortable.
Yeah.
You open up to asking more questions, and in return, you learn more.
Yeah. But now, like you've been working in the Malaysian industry of the oil and gas industry, the culture is way different.
Way different, especially in the company that I used to work at. I worked in a prolific oil and gas company. Not the big P, another one.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. It's a very, I guess maybe this is less of a Malaysian thing, more of an oil and gas thing.
Okay.
Everything's about crunch. You spend that a month plus. Have to constantly keep up to schedule, make sure everything goes right.
Yeah.
And then you come back home for like either 10 days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you go back again, repeat back and forth, and you get tired.
Yeah.
Very exhausting. And the pay is good, but is it worth your mental health and physical health? It's up to you to decide, And but what you say about the racial thing is also quite true.
There?
In the oil and gas field, it's quite
in Malaysia.
There's also a lot here in Malaysia.
Okay.
There's also a lot of sexism as well. It's like they don't want to encourage women to work. I mean, I've seen a few women working offshore, right? But it's like they kind of discouraged from going there because they say, because the men's attitude are very toxic and wild and stuff. Crude. Get it?
Crude oil.
But then it's like, but you're encouraging men to behave that way. That way, you excuse men's behavior for behaving that way, and then you use that as an excuse to not hire women. And like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
So basically, they do not punish men in oil rigs who are behaving more, how to say?
Provocatively?
Yeah.
Well, they do punish. It's just that the culture is like, normal lah.
Okay.
And this is also another thing that I want to talk about, but maybe in a future episode, about how we normalize a lot of shit that men and women do
Yeah.
that is bad that we think is normal,
Yeah.
right? But that's basically I'm getting off tangent here a bit again.
But it's interesting because, I'm not familiar with the oil and gas industry, because I was, I'm not, I am in the tech industry, e-commerce and Q-commerce. I started my journey in e-commerce back in 2018 because after getting my degree and also my certificate for, to become a chartered accountant, I still couldn't get an accounting job. That's how fucked up, the market was then. I think it's even more fucked up today, right? So I was just applying here and there, going to career fairs, getting ghosted by, HR. So it was a very, it was a very difficult journey for me because I felt, okay, you know what? I've already attained all these degrees, all this certification that I need to have a fulfilling career in this particular field, but I couldn't even, get to the door, right? So that was really, really, frustrating for me. But luckily, I had a chance to be part of a successful e-commerce platform. They just contacted me and say, "Hey, are you willing to, meet us for an interview?" Because I had an experience of working in a startup. I mean, I won't talk about it. You kind of know what startup that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that startup was, it was in the automotive industry. So we were doing like retail of car parts, selling car parts, whatsoever. I had a bit of experience in terms of setting up the digital side of the business. So the person who called me, he basically saw my profile and said, "Hey, maybe we can take a chance with this guy." So basically, they just rang me up, invited me to the office. I went there. I met a very cool dude, like a European dude, who later became my boss. And he didn't ask me like the tough question whatsoever. He was just basically reviewing my personality, and he had he took a liking of me, and I thought it was cool because he had like tattoos and whatsoever. Felt like a kind of like an Anthony Bourdain kind of figure. So that's my entry to e-commerce. I started there as like an account manager, and I thank my first 2 or 3 months. Right, it was very tough because I was new to the industry. I had a really bad leader, and she wasn't giving me enough guidance. But I felt like, okay, you know what? This is basically my rizki, right? Like I'm not from e-commerce. I got this chance. I'm here now, and I like it enough to want to stay and learn. So I did the best that I could to really stay there. Work long hours. Basically, took any sort of abuse that that were coming to my way, and just basically grind it out, dude. Yeah, and I'm quite glad because that job in the e-commerce company, because of that, I managed to progress into like other companies to where I am now. So it was just like a chance, basically, right? Yeah, and for you, like you've worked in the oil and gas industry, but I know that you had a short stint in the VFX industry. Yeah, how did that come about?
So before I had my first official job in the oil and gas industry, I worked for a bit. This was after my internship, after I graduated my degree.
Yeah,
I worked for a bit with my uncle. He's a VFX guy. He does visual effects, editing movies and photos and videos and stuff like that. So he has his own company where he trains companies and people to for VFX, for Photoshop or After Effects, Illustrator, or even now it's moving on to video game engine as well, Unreal Engine.
Yeah, Unreal.
And people are using video game engines to make trailers and movies as well. So it's moved on to that. And I did it was like I think like for 4 months or to half a year, just working with him temporarily before I got a good job.
Yeah.
I'm not a good job, but got a proper like full-time paying job because I enjoyed my time with the VFX company.
Yeah.
I was in Cyberjaya, and I would travel every day from our place. Cyberjaya was like an hour drive, and it was despite that I still enjoyed it because I enjoyed what I did, and that opened up my whole creative side of things where I decided because I like science, but I also like arts, and I've always wanted to explore my artistic side, but never had the chance. And that kind of gave me a pathway, gave me a opportunity to explore myself. And I've been, unfortunately, when I started my oil and gas job, I had to push that aside for a bit. And now I'm trying to explore myself again.
Yeah.
but it's something that I've always wanted to try, and something that I've always had this doubt that maybe the career that we do is not something that we wanted to do. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
What would you do if you didn't do accounting? What would you want to do?
So when I was in school, I was really good in writing essays,
Yeah.
in English or in Bahasa. So I remember at the time I wanted to be a writer. I remember telling my dad, like, hey, maybe I should think about being a writer. And he was like, no, like, writers, they don't make money, whatever.
Yeah, so
right?
is that, yeah.
Yeah, and he's right. He's right. I've known few writers. They're miserable, basically. The industry sucks. The pay is very little, and you have very limited creative freedom, right? Especially if you're like a journalist. Maybe the climate has changed. I'm not so sure, right? But I've always liked writing. I remember, when I was in high school. Remember, The Dark Knight came out.
Yeah.
So I basically wrote like a fanfic in a script format for the sequel for The Dark Knight.
Is it smart?
Huh?
Is it smart?
Probably, I don't know. Yeah, but that was something that I was really into. That's a very interesting question. If I could do anything, I would like to be someone who's like a storyteller, basically. I'm not so sure what will be my medium. Maybe movies or video game. Probably more into movies. Maybe as like a director or script writer, whatever. I don't know if I can cut it as an actor. I don't think I have the skills to do so. But probably becoming like a director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's similar to me. I want to be. One of my dreams is that I want to be a director as well.
Yeah.
Like directing a film, because you get to tell your idea, tell your story, and people get to experience it and feel heard
Yeah.
watching a movie.
I'm just giggling to myself because we have a mutual friend who currently is like a director.
Yeah.
And remember, we were making fun of him back then because he was influenced by Michael Bay and was like, this guy has no taste, right? Yeah. But that was us when we were younger.
Well, fast forward to today, we were not wrong. He is quite a prolific director.
Yeah.
Not gonna drop any names, but
Yeah.
he's pretty much linked to some of the guys who made those KL gangster movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think his taste is kind of, in a way, influenced by his family
Yeah.
upbringing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a bad director. It's just maybe the enforcement is strong.
Yeah, probably. Because, he was growing up watching his dad's film and watching Michael Bay films, basically blockbusters, trying to replicate that blockbuster model into the Malaysian market. Whereas I feel like if we become directors, we would do more like artistic kind of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these days those kind of movies actually make money. A few days ago I watched this movie called Long Legs. Have you heard about
Yeah,
it?
you've mentioned it, yeah. Oh, we were supposed to watch together.
Oh shoot, yeah. Sorry man. Yeah, I had like free time. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't want to bother you. So I went to the cinema by myself, watched that movie, and I was just surprised to see on how like a very artistic, very niche kind of filmmaking is now becoming more mainstream, right? Because it's a very atmospheric horror movie, not your typical blockbuster horror movie where there are like jump scares everywhere. And basically, the storytelling is just quite unique. And you see those kind of movies, in the cinemas today. And they're basically what the consumers want. Because back then, remember, at one point, it's all about MCUs, and now MCUs kind of dead. I don't want to go into this topic, but since you're like a Star Wars and Marvel guy also.
So are you.
Yeah, what do you think about what's going on with Marvel?
We went from Korea to Marvel.
Yeah.
The tangent. This is the first episode, so bear with us. I don't know, man. I haven't been paying attention to any Star Wars or Marvel things for a long time.
Yeah.
After Endgame, I watched only 3 shows that people recommend: WandaVision, Loki, and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And I like all 3 of them. WandaVision is my favorite. And I don't know, I think now they're going down a weird path. But I think they're kind of recovering again, with Moon Knight being pretty good. And I think...
I haven't seen that though.
I haven't seen that either. They said watch Moon Knight, it's pretty good. Oscar Isaac. Siapa tak nak?
Yeah, true.
And there's another one. There's another show that by Marvel as well. So I think it's pretty good as well. But I don't know what it is. But I have been left it behind. And same goes for Star Wars. After the... What's the episode 9 called? I don't remember. Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even remember the name. It's so boring right now, dude. After that, I was like, yeah, screw it. I didn't even watch Mandalorian. I know it's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Mandalorian and Andor apparently are very good shows, but I haven't watched those two yet. I'm still kind of finished my Clone Wars cartoon.
Let me tie it back to the career
Yeah, let's go back
aspect
to
of our
career.
conversation.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy with work, we don't have the time to watch all these shows, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah. And what do you do to basically distress yourself?
At work or now at home?
No, I mean, after like work, right? What do you do? Because for me, I've been, hitting the gym quite consistently
Yeah.
for the past, I think, 2 years. And also I've been running consistently also. At one point, I was running about 20 kilometers a week or more than 20 kilometers. Last December, I ran my first half marathon. I ran one more half marathon after that. And I'm looking forward for my first full marathon this October, the big, Standard Chartered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what do you do?
Similar to yours, I hit the gym as well. I started gym recently after I recently quit my job. I quit my job. Before I quit my job, I started in last December. And I've been really focusing on it. I hired a personal trainer, I properly changed my diet, my meal and everything.
Yeah.
So that really helps me decompress, right?
Yeah.
Because I go to the gym almost every day. Now, it used to be 6 times a day, 6 times a week. Now it's like 4 or 5 days
6
a
times
week.
a day is too extreme.
Oh, that's crazy, dude. So I meant 6 days a week, but now it's like 4 or 5 days a week, and that's something I use to decompress myself. I also use it to like basically I watch a lot of YouTube basically now, just watching people talk about things, react, maybe learning new things,
Yeah.
reading on books on H.P. Lovecraft books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get back into reading because reading is like an on and off thing for me. I enjoy reading, but sometimes I just have trouble because I have difficulty reading as well.
Yeah.
So I just sometimes leave it to the side, and then after a few months I pick it back up, read it again, and also I think I don't even play video games that often right now.
Yeah, me too, man. I don't even have a PlayStation 5 and my laptop sucks. I don't have a proper desktop. So I miss a lot of games, to be honest. There are a few games that I really wanted to play, like the second God of War. I played the first one. I think you lent it to me,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good because there was a period in my life when I was doing my ACCA, which was to become like a chartered accountant, right? The certificate. So I took, I think, 1.5 years off from work just to, study and, do those exams on a semester basis. So I had a lot of free time after classes, right? So I was just playing video games. So some of the games that I played, God of War, the first God of War. Not the first God of War, I mean the first God of War on PlayStation
The
4.
Norse one.
Yeah, the reboot God of War. I played Witcher 3 at the time. I played Nier Automata, which was a really underrated game, and I think their soundtrack is one of the best gaming soundtracks ever. Being slept on, unfortunately.
Yep.
So that time, it was a very surreal time for me in life where I was, I was in between my future and my past. And why I say that because, ACCA, basically, I'm, studying for my future to get a better job. But I was also playing video games, which was like a throwback to my childhood. And yeah, it was a very surreal time in my life. And I also felt that playing those video games made me more in touch with my humanity through the stories, through the characters. And that's the thing that I want to tell parents whenever they say, you know what, video games are bad for children.
Bullshit right there, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I played God of War. How did we get to God of War again?
I don't know. This is what we do. Talk about one thing and it goes to next.
Yeah. So right now, like at work, right, for me, I'm basically grinding every day. But there's no growth in where I'm working right now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out on how can I grow at work, and I'm also thinking about doing like masters, going back to school again. But I'm also using that as an excuse to not work, basically like a sabbatical.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I feel like currently the market is really, really bad, and the future seems a bit bleak, especially when you talk about, automation of processes and
AI.
and basically outsourcing work to other countries or whatever. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. It's there's a problem with capitalism, right?
Yeah.
People who support it don't know like this is the bad part of it.
Yeah.
It will be replaced. It's all about supply and demand, and it's how the market works, and it's sad. It's quite bleak, especially in a country where it's like we're trying to grow in different areas, but at the same time we're also like kind of shooting ourselves in the foot,
Yeah.
and it's like it's not the issue lah. It's also ties closely to race and religion, which is a whole other topic to talk
Yeah.
about. But it feels pretty bleak too. Like even the oil and gas was also always up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But the trend is it's been going down, 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 and now it's kind of recovering back. But how long will it recover? And then
Yeah.
when it goes down again, and then it's be difficult to recuperate as well.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
what you mean.
It's
Yeah, for me in the tech industry, you hear about a lot of layoffs, right? In the States,
oh yeah,
right? You have the big companies such as Meta, Google, laying off thousands of employees. Here in Southeast Asia, also there are prominent players who had to go through like exercise of layoff, and my company had to lay off people as well, and they've been doing so since I joined. Actually, like a couple of rounds. It's quite scary. I was actually impacted by it last year, but then they gave me like a new role because my original role was deprecated, so I had nowhere to go. So they basically told me that okay, you're being laid off. We're going to give you your compensation whatsoever, but there are a few roles that you can try to apply for, and if there's something that interests you, just let us know. Maybe we can move you into that role. There was nothing that I was interested in. But basically, one of the hiring managers, he reached out to me and said, I think you're perfect for this role. Why don't you just take it? I had to think about it because the money was quite attractive, the package. But after speaking to a lot of people, like my ex-bosses, they were basically telling me, you know what, you might see that package to be like attractive, like a good idea just to take the money and just chill for a few months. But when the time you need to look for a job, the market is going to be worse probably, right? So why don't you hedge the risk, take the role, and just take a chill pill. Just be easy on work, right? Don't stress too much, right? Yeah. So right now, you said that you quit your job,
Yeah.
and how's the job hunting so far?
it's been okay. It's been quite passive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become more active now. I plan to take. I purposely took like 6 months off
Yeah.
just to take a break because I was messed up, man. I was losing my hair.
Oh,
The
really?
amount of physical stress and mental stress as well. Because I was also a bit lost in focus in my job because I was doing a bit of everything, right? Which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? But it was a bit hectic. The project was crazy. Project is crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of hiccups along the way. COVID happened, and then the pirate issue in Sabah happened, and everything was like in lockdown, and it was just a lot of bullfuckery that happened.
Oh,
basically,
okay.
So yeah, sort of roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks, and then the Sabah government changed a few rules on working visas and pass, and that screwed up a lot of things as well. There's a lot of bad luck. This project emang dia kata project sway A lot of bad luck, no feng shui.
Curse.
It's a curse project.
Yeah.
Till now it's not finished. It was supposed to finish in 2020.
Yeah.
Till this day it's not finished.
Shit.
And now I hear one of the big machines are missing.
Really?
I have no idea how that happened. But ada hantu, bro. I'm telling you, I don't know what is going on. But basically, yeah. But I decided to take a break, and I don't know if I want to join oil and gas again. I most probably will because I have experience in that, and it's easier to get that job.
And the money is good.
And the money is good. I'm not gonna lie. Right, the money is good. And I miss that. But I don't know if I wanna go through that same stress again. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm trying to look for other things.
Yeah.
One of the things we are doing now is the other outlet.
Okay.
right? The
We're just
podcast,
trying.
right?
We're just
Yeah.
trying.
Just trying.
If
Maybe
it doesn't work.
we'll see where it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like at the early stage.
Yeah, but at least we're trying, That's the thing.
Yeah. I feel like we're also at an age where we don't want to work too hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we're not that old.
No, we're not that old. But
Yeah. But I guess we've hustled enough in our 20s to try to, like, at this point of time, we just want to take our foot off the pedal just by a bit. But yeah, man, life is expensive.
Yeah.
And we probably have, 40 years to go.
Yep.
Joe Biden is still trying to, secure his presidency
Joe
right?
Biden, that
at 81,
fucking
and he's just
lunacy.
very
Senile.
I see now, right?
Oh my god.
Can you imagine still working
I
when
don't
you're
know.
81?
That debate
Yeah.
that he had with Trump,
Yeah, man.
that was rough.
Yeah, and Trump is just few years younger than him, but
Yeah.
in terms of mental age, probably like Trump is like 20 years younger or whatever.
Yeah. But then again, his mental age is like, in one sense, 20 years younger, in one sense, 50 years younger.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I get what
Like
you're
a
saying.
man child. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a long way to go in terms of career. And what do you want to achieve, actually?
I think this goes to our topic that we want to talk about passion, right? What is your passion? What do you want to achieve?
I don't think I'm going to be like a director. I mean, a movie director.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm just trying to climb high enough in my career to become maybe like a head of a department or like a director, like a company director.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the talent or the patience to start my own company. I know a lot of people do that, but yeah, people our age do that, but I don't have the mental fortitude to do that. Yeah. What about you? What do you want to achieve?
I'm kind of in the same boat in a way. I always wanted to start a company, a prosthetic company that deals with advanced prosthesis. And it's getting harder and harder to do that, and it's partly my own fault because I didn't really put effort in it. But at the same time, we all just trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like you as well. I think what I want is financial freedom.
Yeah.
I know it sounds super vague. I'm just trying ways to get passive income, other ways than not having to work. Because me and you,
OnlyFans.
hey man, I can sell a picture of my butt. You know,
There's a market for that.
there's a market for that. Yeah, you know, inshallah, bro.
Yo, okay. I'm glad to hear that. Very.
I don't know. That's why. What do you think I'm going to the gym, bro?
Oh.
OnlyFans. It's the only reason why. I also bought like recently bought a dick pump, so might be thicker and longer soon. Takes a while.
Okay, we're getting there.
I think
That's a very unexpected twist.
that's what we do, man.
Oh.
For those who don't know, this is what we do in our conversation. There's always a twist somewhere.
Yeah.
And it leads to some down the road kind of nonsense.
Okay, so I think if you're going to that path of becoming an OnlyFans creator, and if the chance of you becoming successful is very high, let me in. I can be your manager.
Sure.
Run your page.
Yeah.
I think we have a little bit more time left. Maybe I would like to ask you this question, right? Since we're talking about career, talking about life, obviously, like we have people maybe close to us or like far away who influence our life, and I'm just wondering, like, who's the biggest influence for you?
I mean, real life people around us.
I mean, it can be anyone.
Quite a few people actually.
Yeah.
I think. Why don't you answer that question first? Because I still
Me?
need some time to think. Yeah.
Me, I think in terms of the people who influenced me the most, my parents.
Mhm.
I know it's like a very safe answer, generic answer,
Very
whatever.
Asian answer.
Very Asian answer, but I feel like now that I'm an adult, when I look at my behavior, look at my thoughts process, look at my, in Malay we call it niyat, like my intention, right? Whenever I do something, I think they're like heavily influenced by my parents. My parents, they're very kind people, they're very good people, but they have their demons too. And those demons, I felt that they were also passed down to me. So I struggle with the same demons also. So in a way, they are the most influential figures in my life. But other than that, kind of like my hero, I would say John Lennon. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I think John Lennon is the most self-actualized artist ever. He was a very famous pop star, rock star, but then he evolved to become like a very political figure. He was like a peace activist. He was fighting for feminism in this 60s or 70s back then. So he was a very progressive figure, and it was very sad that he passed on at a very young age. But there wouldn't be anyone like him ever again. And I love his songs basically. Yeah. So John Lennon. Now it's your turn.
I would say my late paternal grandfather. He's always been there for me. He always shows. He's always showed me how a man should be, and part of it is being soft and
Yeah.
kind and vulnerable, and he's always one to also he instilled the sense of curiosity and wanting to learn in me because he's a lecturer. He was in the military, and then he was a lecturer for a long time. And because I grew up with him, I grew up with my grandparents more than my parents did when I was younger. And so grew up around him. He's always constantly talking about education and academics and learning new things and being
Yeah.
curious, staying curious. Always, telling me some weird trivia or facts about life that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Teaching me stuff. And also he's strict because of his military
Yeah.
background, but he's also soft when he needs to be, when he has to be. Right? He's also not afraid to be vulnerable and show his emotions.
I see.
And I learned a lot about how to be
A man.
a man or even
Yeah.
a good person thanks to him.
Yeah. That's great, man. And speaking about man, becoming a man, I hope we can talk about the men's rights thing soon.
I would use the word men's advocacy
Okay.
because men's rights is right now it's a bit coded,
Okay.
and we'll get talk about that more later.
Yeah.
Why is it coded and why is it wrong? But you're right. Yeah, it's a part of my passion too.
Yeah. I really want to get into that, but I guess we don't have the time for today. So I really want to thank you, Imran, for agreeing to do this podcast. I think we have a long journey ahead of us.
Yeah.
Thank you for bearing. Thank you for watching. Bear with us. We're still new, and I hope to see you guys soon for the next episodes.
Thanks.